Well, hello again, friends, and thank you for joining me this evening. Wanted to talk tarot again for a little bit tonight. Last time we spoke about this subject, I kind of shared some of the changes that the tarot has brought into my life, and also uh, some ideas on maybe how to get started using the cards if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I didn't really talk to any extent about specifically what the cards do or how they work. And so I want to spend a few minutes on that this evening. Needs to be said up front that these are just my impressions. These are just sort of what I've learned about the way the cards work for me. I think everybody has, got a different approach. Someone had posted a comment on the weblog, basically to that effect, that you can't really talk about how the cards work. You can only talk about how they work for you. So want to just share some of that experience, how they work for me, and what they do. I think most people who use the cards would agree that there is basically what they do is provide information that you might not be able to come by, at least not easily otherwise. The sorts of information that is where people kind of diverge on their thinking, and the way that the cards work is another way that people sort of diverge. But I'm just going to unpack how I think they work for me. So the information that I get most often in using the tarot cards is stuff that has been hidden away from my conscious mind. It's information that I have that is in my mind, but I can't get at it too easily. And the cards have an uncanny way of bringing that up. I want to give an example, and I think I've used this in a blog post sometime or another, just of the sort of the mental landscape of all of this. You have probably had the experiences most of us have of misplacing your glasses or car keys or cell phone or something like that. You come in and you plop it down somewhere, and then you're getting ready to leave the house, and you're looking around and can't find what you need. And you look all over and get more and more frustrated. And it's like you look in all of the likely places that you would put it, and you just can't turn up. The thing about this is that you really know where that item is the whole time, because you're the one that put it there. You watched yourself set it down. You felt the object leave your hand, but so it's there in your mind, but you just can't get it up in your consciousness. And then many times, once we relax and quit hunting, it'll occur to us, oh, I'll check there, and there it is. Or you look across the room and it was right there in plain sight all the time, but you just couldn't bring it up into your conscious mind. I'm not saying that the tarot can help you find your cell phone, although that has happened. But that is the sort of information that I find coming out through these cards. Things that are sometimes buried really deep. I mean, we've got all of this stuff. Everything we've ever experienced, everything we've ever felt is there in our memories. They're just not in our conscious memories. And so that information can be really, really valuable. It can give us a lot of insight and a lot of help, especially if we are trying to develop ourselves, trying to grow and learn and become better people. So how do the cards do that? That's what they do. I mean, that's what has brought about most of the major changes in my life over the past year here. But how do they work? And again, you ask 10 different people, you'll get, a dozen different answers on this one. But I'm going to talk about how I think they work for me. When we are presented with a stimulus that is evocative or provocative, we're trying to make sense of it. And especially if it's something that's drawn randomly and all of that. Our minds are really, really good at making associations between things and seeing patterns all the time. We do this automatically. This is why conspiracy theories are so attractive too, because it's like, oh, I see a pattern here. But we're doing this all the time, and it's a survival tactic, really. It's something that's baked into us. It's not conscious usually. We're always just looking for associations and patterns and trying to make things make sense in some way. Coincidences, when you have one of these weird, odd coincidences happen, it's like, oh, I wonder what that means. And it can't be a mere coincidence, because that would just be too odd. So we're always looking for patterns and stuff. And I think that the tarot jars that stuff. I think that you're presented with this image, and it's been drawn at random, and you begin to think, okay, what's the message for me? Why did I pick this card? And even though it wasn't a conscious choice, you didn't go looking for that card, that actually makes it all the more likely to, kind of stir things up in your unconscious or subconscious mind and bring those things up. I would recommend Vince Patisi's book, The Genius of the Tarot. He talks about this to some large degree, and about the notions of conceptual blending, about creative problem solving, and that the cards essentially use the same processes that consultants that come in and do like creative problem solving or visioning and that kind of stuff use. There's a random stimulus that is not really related maybe to the subject at hand, that causes your mind to make associations that it wouldn't otherwise make. And I think that is the genius of the tarot, at least for me. Now there are all kinds of other ideas about this. When you start talking about the subconscious or the unconscious, there's this notion that all of that is one vast web or network where we're all connected. And you surely had these sorts of things happen too, where you'll be thinking of someone and the phone will ring and it'll be them. Is there something going on there? Is that kind of information part of what we can bring out of our unconscious minds? And I suspect that maybe it is, although I'm not willing to take that to the bank. What I do know for sure is that there is a lot of information there, even if it is our literal, personal, localized information that we have witnessed throughout our lives. There's a lot of stuff there that doesn't always come to the surface otherwise, no matter how much we try. Routines and habits and things like that we've held, for decades, sometimes are not obvious to ourselves. And the tarot can help us get at that. And I think that the way that it does it most of the time is, this random, symbol there, or this random picture. It gets your mind thinking, and you're trying to find some sort of meaning in why did I draw that card today? And so it helps you access this part of your mind that is difficult to get at otherwise. I think that's about it for this time. I don't know if this information is helpful or not. Since the last time I was on Facebook Live, I did launch a new tarot website. It is at brightblessingstarot.com, and I'll link to that here in comments once the video is over. But I'd love to hear what you think about that too. Would also love to hear about your journey with this stuff if you're practicing the tarot. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.